Hi guys, how's it going? Caitlin here and welcome to my kitchen for another week of meal prep. So I hope you're pumped for this week ahead. I got lots of great things lined up. So if you are here, grab your prep list. If you don't have a prep list, check the description in the video. Got links in there for you, nice and easy to find. Also, I've got 3 different varying levels of prep in this video. So if you are just not feeling it, then there's prep 1. It's not going to take you too long, but it's going to put you way ahead for the week. If you start to feel in the groove after that, step 2, and there's level 3 as well for if you really just want to put in the time now or can put in the time now. And then you're going to feel so ahead, whatever you're doing. And what's on the menu this week? Because that's important, right? We have 1 pot spaghetti, because 1 pot anything is magic. Cashew chicken, slow cooker chicken stew, egg in the holes, and ending the week with cheeseburger pizza. So if that sounds good to you, sounds good to me, let's get her going here, shall we? And we will start with our therapeutic crying for the week, aka chopping up some onions. It's not a week together unless we start with tears, is it? Like, I just feel like that's, maybe it's not everybody's tradition, but it's our tradition. And you know what? That means something to me. I hope it means something to you too. Okay, so you could chop your onion with a knife the whole way. I'm going to use what is called a food chopper to do mine. There are, of course, other options as well. You could use a food processor if you felt like it. However you want to chop your onions, you go right to town. Whatever size you are feeling. Maybe you like bigger onions. I know some people like to have their onions a little bigger so that picky eaters can pick them out. I like to make my onions really small so that my picky eaters are stuck with them and they're not going to know any better and they'll just be forced to devour them and get their nutrients. Wahahaha. Yeah, evil laugh. Oh, they're starting to get me already. Oh, that's not a good sign, is it? An inch. Sorry. Okay, so we got lots of onions to get chopped up here. These are just gonna be flying all over the place, and I know it. I'm looking at this, and I'm like, this is a bad idea, and they're gonna fly everywhere, but whatever. Going with it anyway. Do that and like, just because it's a bad idea doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it anyway. It's like I see it, I know it, I acknowledge it. They actually didn't bounce around as much as I thought they were going to, so. Rough peel. Sometimes the rough peels just don't want to chop like the other ones, and I could fight with it, but I don't want to. Workout for your arm, really. So if you have to cut out something to make it to your prep day, apparently you can just skip arm day because we're getting it all right here, folks. Okay. They're getting me. There we go. Onions. Done. Now we are going to dice 2 peppers and then we are going to chop 2, chunk 2. Chop 2, chunk 2. So for my peppers, to get the guts out of them, for a better word, for lack of a better word, I just chop along the lines in the bottom up towards the top stem and then pull it out. Most of the stuff comes out with it. You could use your chopper on these. I'm just going to kick her old school and just dice them up this way. So you can have all the pretty tools in the world, but sometimes just the chop of a nice knife, there's something therapeutic about it. You know, I was never a huge fan of meal prep until I started doing it. And once I started doing it and experiencing how much easier it made my week, like I honestly couldn't believe it. Like just having that pressure off when it comes to be dinner time, be like, what's for dinner? And not even just knowing what's for dinner, but knowing that everything's already ready to go for in the fridge. Also, since I'm prepping for a few days at a time, if something doesn't work for one day, I can swap it over into another day. If it's a day where I'm like, oh crap, I need to be able to put something in the slow cooker, I can just grab that slow cooker meal for the week and throw that in. Just because something's on specific days of the week, like I want you to look at your meal plan and be like, what do I have on the go this week? And does that make sense for my days? Because kids got hockey one day, you know that you're gonna need something quick, so go for that. If you know you get 40 minutes to get your supper together from start to finish, go with a 40-minute. You can kind of get a feel looking at them, like if you're making a pasta or rice, something that has to sit for a little bit. Yeah, it's not hands-on, but it ain't no 10-minute meal either, right? There you go. 2 diced peppers. I'm just gonna throw a divider in here and see if I can fit the chunky ones in with the diced ones. Yeah, these meal prep containers, I love them because, well, for many reasons, but I do like that. I still have some stuff with my knife. We'll just tear it up there. That's good. Sometimes a fridge is running out of space, and I realize that is a very privileged problem for me to have, but sometimes the fridge does feel full, and these things, when I can divide up the container and have both things in one container, it just makes it a little easier. See if it'll fit in there. It's looking very ishy to fit in there, my friends. But I'm gonna see if I can just smush her all down. What's the worst thing that could happen? So I am chunking the vegetables for the cashew chicken. If you wanted yours cut up smaller, you could. There's no rule book on that. Only rules are the ones you're making up as you go along. We're just gonna smush that right down there, and we're gonna call that a day. I think it's good. It'll fit in the fridge. It'll be fine. Awesome. So I am going to get some broccoli florets ready. So that's that's about as much effort as I put into that. If you wanted to chop them up smaller, you certainly could. I'm gonna just take the bottom off of that one because it's a little big, separate them out. Because the closer to bite size they are, like, the happier I am with them. Done. Bit of broccoli, all fleuretted. Fleuretted? Ready fleuretted. That's it for step one. If you guys are just doing step one, you are done. If you're going on a level 2, let's go. Rock it, shall we? So I am going to be peeling and slicing carrots, and I'm going to be chopping up some potato, and I'm putting them in a container, and that container is going to have water covering it. Because these are 2 vegetables that are just going to go a little funky if they're not hydrated. I find they'll stay good for a considerable amount of time if you have them in water. If you have to change the water, you can, but really I just leave it. I've never had an issue. I'm still alive. I've survived to this day. I have to empty my trash. That's why I keep throwing it on the floor. One sec. Wish I had a dog that would eat that. I have a dog, but I don't have a dog that would eat that. The dog was, she's actually quite picky. Like, I used to have a lab back in the day, and the lab would just, you know, anything looked like food. The things that resembled food were kind of, you know, terrifying. But our Bernedoodle, it has to actually be like, you know, not even just a little delicious, it has to be like super delicious for her even to consider it. Carrots all chopped up. Now I'll chop up our potatoes. If you want to peel your potatoes, you can peel your potatoes. I would just rather have them clean and keep the peel on, because underneath the peel there's actually a lot of nutrients, and I will keep that if I can. How big you cube your potatoes is entirely up to you. Dealer's choice if you want big chunky, small chunky, or mixed chunky. Well, that's a funny looking piece. I don't think I want that one. Or that one. There we go. I judge the funny ones. I like to tell myself there's something biological about that too. Like maybe if it just looks different, you're like, maybe I shouldn't be eating that. I am completely making that part up though. So, some potatoes there. Gonna cover this in water. They just need to be until it is just covered. Nothing crazy or specific there. go. Now, day of, I will just be able to open this up and have the lid mostly removed. Just use the lid as a bit of a drainer. Drainer? Yeah, we'll go with that. Strainer? All right, what is next? Let's see. Shredding a couple cups of cheese. Yep, we're gonna make some cheese this week, guys. Gonna need the cheese if we're gonna have a cheeseburger pizza. Unless you don't do dairy. Which I don't, so I actually omit the cheese on my cheeseburger pizza. So I guess I just have a burger pizza, not a cheeseburger pizza. Confusing, I know. But it still works. But for cheese eaters, aka the majority of the population that I know, cheese seems like an essential thing for a cheeseburger pizza. So do a couple cups. You can do up a little more here if you want to put cheese on your egg in the holes as well. And that's just going to finish off this block, which is lovely. You could save time by getting your cheese already shredded, and maybe you did that. There is usually less ingredients in cheese when you get it not shredded. Less ingredients is generally a good thing. And I have heard that some companies will actually use flour to make sure that their cheese isn't all sticking together. Because you gotta use something to make sure your cheese doesn't stick together. Because when you do your own cheese like this, you're gonna notice it sticks together. It's fine, it separates, but it's a thing. So to avoid that in the packages, there's usually some kind of a powdery substance that's used. So just make sure you read your ingredients just to make sure that there's no wheat flour or something in that. Okay guys, if you're just doing step 2, congratulations, you nailed it, you did it. If you are going a little further with me, if we are going all the way to level 3 where you're just making everything way too easy for the week, then let's go, shall we? And we will start by putting the sauce together for our cashew chicken. So I'm using a 1/4 cup of, you can either use coconut aminos or soy sauce. Make sure that your soy sauce is gluten-free. Look for tamari or just gluten-free soy sauce. It's usually written right on it because a lot have gluten in them. So we want to avoid that clearly. So I got a 1/4 cup of that. I'm going to use, if I can get my jar open, 2 tablespoons of honey. Actually, I'm going to put this in first. I'm going to put in a tablespoon of rice vinegar. I've got these little liquid measuring cups, and I am madly in love with them and will brag about them to anybody who will listen. And since you're here, I'm just going to tell you about them. So they have measurements that's written up on the inside of it, so you don't have to, you know, when you do the liquid measure dance when you're like up and down and up and down, you don't have to do the liquid measure dance. So I think that's hugely awesome. 2 tablespoons of honey. And I am blessed. This honey comes from a friend of mine just down the road. She has her own bees. And the reason why I'm scooping it with a pink child spoon is that I heard that metal can actually mess with, what are they called? I can't even think of what they're called. Good things that are in honey. Enzymes, maybe? I heard that metal can react to it. I don't know if that's true or if it's not, so instead I'm just using a child spoon and just hoping for the best. All right. Put that in there. tablespoon and a half of, random combo, of Asian chili sauce. If there's a little more and it's a little spicy, I'm just gonna be in heaven. Maybe the kids not so much. Okay. There we go. It's those like little things where instead of putting together a sauce, you have a sauce. Those things can make all the difference when it is the 11th hour and you're trying to get things together. So the last thing that I'm going to do for my personal prep here, you may have other things that you want to prep as well. I'm going to put together dry ingredients for pizza crust, because I have a pizza crust recipe that's in here. You could use your own pizza crust recipe. You could use a mix. This is basically just making my own mix, right? So there's only going to be wet ingredients that have to be added to it the day of, which just makes my life easier, and I like anything that makes my life a little bit easier. Like really, we put in this 30 minutes of work at this one time throughout the week, and the rest of the suppers just fall into line. It's kind of magical. Especially when you are on a restricted diet. Like, even when you're going to look at takeout is not as pleasurable when you can't eat a lot of things, or if you have that worry that you're going to get gluten when you're going somewhere. It's not a pleasant feeling, as we all know. So I'm doubling my recipe for pizza crust, I should add. The recipe that I have in here is for one large pizza. So if you're anything like us, you'd rather have two large pizzas, and we usually like having a bit of leftovers after to eat. So if you want that, you want leftovers and lots of pizza to eat that night, you might consider doubling it. So got some potato starch in there. The potato starch makes the crust very, very, very soft, and it stays good even when you're reheating it. It still tends to work really well. So I'm gonna put in a couple tablespoons of sugar. Couple tablespoons of yeast, and I need me some salt. Here we go. So I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of salt. There we are. And there is enough pizza crust dough, dry ingredients for 2 large pizzas. So that's gonna do me. All right, and that's what I have all set there right now, guys. If you want to take this time now, well, you already got this all around you, check your fridge, see what needs to be used, see if you can incorporate it into the menus this week. Maybe you have some vegetables you can throw into one of the dishes. Spaghetti's always a good one for that. Stew's a good one for that. So see if there's anything that you got to use. If you got to use it, use it. Figure out a way that you're going to do it and write it down for yourself so you don't forget. Anything that you're not going to use this week, try to figure out if you can process it now, put it in the freezer, mark it with the date and what it is so it doesn't just disappear there forever. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next week. Hope you enjoy the menu this week, and we will chat soon. Bye-bye.